Welcome to How to Yu-Gi-Oh!
Top 10 Archetypes 2025.
Chapter 1.
Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the top 10 archetypes of this year and why I feel they are the top 10 archetypes of this year. Because they have pulled in the numbers. They've had the most wins, and I feel they deserve a spot in this list. With that being said, let's get on with the rest of the video.
Chapter 2.
And so let's start off. At number 10 is the archetype known as Crystrons. Beginning this year, Crystrons had their first support in Supreme Darkness in January, and they have taken the TCG by storm. The support has been fantastic, has elevated the deck to a whole new level, even though Crystron Haki Fireblast, as you see in front of you, is banned in both regions, in TCG and OCG. In Master Duel, I believe I think in all regions, even Master Duel as well. But aside from that fun fact, Crystrons, with their support, have been competent and have taken names and even now are still considered a good rogue deck, right? Definitely they are now competent, can have a lot of lines to them. There's a lot of bite that Crystrons have that they didn't have before. And even in Master Duel as well, they've been taking some names. Even though the deck hasn't officially, won anything in Master Duel, but the fact that it had a huge representation in the latest Master Duel World Cup, and it was part of the top 3 recently, definitely showcases that Crystrons are not to be underestimated here. And that's why they're at the 10th slot. As they're great, sure, and we started off the year with Crystrons. So yeah, at number 10 is the Crystron archetype.
Chapter 3.
And here we have our 9th spot. At number 9 is Regenesis. Coming in Alliance Insight quite recently, Regenesis, whether in OCG or TCG, has come up and taken and shaken the meta by storm. Fantastic archetype, extremely low to the ground, and has just appeared and is taking names, right? Completely taking names, and just bringing home the bacon and just getting results. What is there to say about Regenesis? It's fantastic, and paired off with Kashtira, especially in TCG, being, I think, the strongest rogue archetype we have in 2025 for the TCG. Loads of potential, lots of things here. There is something here. And also the fact that it's at number 9 and could potentially increase further is the fact that this could potentially be as strong as Fiendsmith. Yes, you heard that right. This has potential to be a generic engine like Fiendsmith. The fact that you can pair this with Bystials as well, meaning you can pair this with Bystials, you can just do Regenesis Bystials, and that is a thing. The fact that you can pair, Kashtira with this as well. There's a lot of things going for this archetype. Again, it really plays very well into mulch armies. You don't need a lot of summons, a lot of searches. You need a minimum of 2 searches to establish a full board. This is again impressive considering the fact that in TCG, Droll is main decked now, and a lot of decks activate search a lot. So there's a lot going here, and this is why it's slightly better than Crystrons at the number 9 slot. So yeah, watch out for this archetype. I definitely feel we should keep an eye out for Regenesis, because in the future, it's going to take some names. That's for sure.
Chapter 4.
And let's go to the 8th slot. At number 8 is Snake Eye. Starting with Snake Eye Ash for 2025, the 8th slot with Snake Eye is something to be feared. Last year, Snake Eye was a dominant force in Yu-Gi-Oh! And sure, Snake Eye lost original Sinful Spoils, meaning that its power level is low. But let that not be understated here. Snake Eye is a fantastic engine for fire decks and has proven, especially throughout 2024, that this is a deck that can take names. And sure, its representation is not the best this year. Let's not kid ourselves. But that is not to say that Snake Eye is bad. With support coming out in Supreme Darkness beginning of this year, with the Fusion Monster placing monsters in the spell and trap card zone, a very unique way of getting rid of cards, meaning that when Snake Eyes pop off, well, you can't get your cards back. There's a lot of things going for Snake Eyes right now, and definitely Snake Eyes is a sleeper deck with the right pilot, with the right mix. There's a lot of things going here. But the reason why it's at the 8th slot is because there's still some things to be cooked. There's still something here that is waiting to be unearthed. Sure, Bonfire is at 1, that hurts Snake Eye quite a bit, and OSS is banned. So there's a lot of damage that has been done to Snake Eyes. But that doesn't mean Snake Eyes can't take names. It's just waiting in slumber like a snake, ready to strike when you least expect it. And that's why it's at number 8. Let's continue on with this list.
Chapter 5.
Okay, and here we have the 7th slot, Azamina. Yes, Azamina premiered near the end of 2024 and is coming yet again with support in Supreme Darkness beginning of this year and more. Azamina has showcased to us what it is and it means for further Snake Eye support. And while it can't combo off with Snake Eyes, Azamina is its own archetype and can stand on its own. With a new boss monster called Saint Azamina. Definitely a very strong boss monster that we've seen none the likes that we have not seen before. Saint Azamina being able to stop interaction of the grave or movement from the graveyard is fantastic. Azamina alias Sylvia again. The Azamina package, as I would say, is a negate engine. That's right, an omni-negate. An omni-negate on a card. What's more to say about this card right here? There's loads of potential with Azamina. The fact that this is a negate package that we can use, the fact that there's so much going here, let's not understate Azamina. And that's why it's at the 7th slot and why it's in 7th place. Let's move on.
Chapter 5.
And so we come to number 6, Mitsurugi. Oh my goodness, what can we say about Mitsurugi and why does it deserve to be at 6th place? Let me tell you a story of a ritual archetype, an exclusive archetype, TCG, released in 2025. For the longest time, TCG archetypes, except for Burning Abyss that came around 2014. That's right, 2014 is when we had the last good TCG exclusive archetype. My goodness, how long a wait has there been? But Mitsurugi premiered this year and has killed the naysayers and has dominated. Yes, that's right, dominated the TCG meta scene. Part of the reason why this archetype isn't higher is because it loses to our mutual friend, which is Droll Lockbird. But let that not be understated here, as Ryzeal Mitsurugi is the strongest deck of 2025. Let that sink in. Now, the fact that Mitsurugi again has come out as a TCG exclusive archetype coming out in 2025, the fact that it can be argued as well that this is the strongest ritual archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh history, beating Necros. I know people will definitely want to be Necros glazers and want to see but the impact that this archetype has had for rituals is insane. The consistency of Mitsurugi, the way this archetype just takes names, it has definitely put the ritual archetype on the map. Just rituals as a summoning mechanic has not been eating good, but Mitsurugi has come out and has definitely showcased, and Konami has showcased with Mitsurugi that rituals, there's more to be had, and there's more innovation that can be done here for the ritual archetype. And that's why it takes the 6th slot. Just because it's been paired with Mitsurugi being the strongest deck we have of 2025, why it takes the slot as 6th place. And let's move on with this list.
Chapter 6.
And here we have it. At number 5 is Bystials. That's right, Bystials. This archetype is taking names. Let's not kid ourselves. Bystials has been the strongest hand trap in Yu-Gi-Oh history. I definitely say beating Ash Blossom. Look at the versatility of Bystials, and since their release, they are so versatile. Not only can Bystials be played as a deck, right? On the release, they can be played as hand traps, meaning that you don't they class as hand traps as well. They class as hand traps and as starters and enablers. They're everything. A hand trap doing so much in itself is insane. Let's just let that sink in. The fact that they pair off as well with Regenesis, which is at 9th place in this top 10 list, is also insane. And also, they have been acknowledged as Jerusalem, I believe, has gone to 1. Again, Bystials have, since the release, have been taking names. They've been everywhere, doing everything. They are every player's best friend. Stick some Bystials in your deck and you're going places, man. Bystials have been absolutely disruptive to the hand trap scene. And I think it's something that needs to be acknowledged here. Bystials are a disruptor, and Bystials have definitely been something that a lot of players have just been putting into their decks. And a lot of decks don't even consider Ash Blossom or Balcharmies anymore. The plussing that Bystials do, the fact that they counter another archetype, which is on this list as well, it's higher on this list, which we'll talk about. But again, there's lots of things going for Bystials, which is why they're at number 5. Let's move on with this list.
Chapter 7.
All right, and at 4th place, the one, the only, Kashtira. That's right. In TCG, Kashtira dominates. As the best archetype for going second, Kashtira has not been hit in TCG. Fenrir is at 3. Unicorn is at 3. This deck is based. This deck eats you for breakfast. That's right. The fact that Kashtira, Fenrir, and Unicorn are still at 3 in TCG is insane. In Master Duel, they are limited to 1. In OCG, I believe Kashtira, Fenrir is banned and Unicorn is at 1. The fact that they are still at full power in TCG is insane. Hence why they're at the 4th slot. Going second, Fenrir is terrifying. Whatever you put onto the board, Fenrir will just target a face-up card and banish it face down. You are not getting that back. The fact that you have Kashtira Unicorn that can just look at an opponent's extra deck and just snipe anything in that extra deck and it's gone for the entire game is absolutely insane. Just think about that for a moment. A whole archetype can just snipe cards and remove them for the entire game. The fact they haven't been hit or limited in TCG, again, is insane. This is why they take the 4th slot. They are not to be underestimated, and I believe they might still be here in the same slot in 2026 if they are not hit. Again, there's too much going for Kashtira. And finally, let's move over to our top 3 archetypes of 2025.
Chapter 8.
Okay, and at number 3, the 3rd best archetype of 2025 is Fiendsmith. I've said it, Fiendsmith. That's right, Fiendsmith as an engine is not just insane, it's diabolical. The fact that the Fiendsmith engine gets you a summon negate and an omni negate as well. We've seen engines in the past, don't get me wrong. Whether they've been adventure engine that gets you an omni negate, or the Gem Knight engine that gives you an additional summon. So many engines. But never have we seen an engine so clear, decisive, and a bang for your buck, and so adaptable as well, than the Fiendsmith engine. And I dare say, Fiendsmith is the best engine of all time. I'm saying it now, folks. I'm just laying it out straight. The way this engine can adapt, the way you can use it to adapt to any situation. Do you want a summon negate? We got Caesar for you. Do you want an omni negate? We got Fiendsmith Desiree for you. Do you want disruption? Perhaps you can go into, on your opponent's turn, you can go into SP Little Knight. What do you want? It can give it to you. The strength of Fiendsmith is its adaptability. The way this engine can adapt to any deck you put it in. It can fit the role that you want it to fit. Do you want it to be a starter? Do you want it to be a defensive tool? Do you want it to enhance your plays, or do you want it to defend your plays? Do you want it to increase your ceiling, or do you want it to lower your ceiling? What do you want the engine to do? Fiendsmith's got your back. The versatility of Fiendsmith is why it's at number 3 as the 3rd best archetype of 2025. There's just too much you can do with Fiendsmith. It's too good. And that's why it's at 3rd place. Let's head on to the next number.
Chapter 9.
Okay, and at 2nd place, we have it, folks, Maliss. That's right, Maliss is here. Maliss premiered the end of 2024, and let's not kid ourselves, this Alice in Wonderland archetype has been taking names. And definitely sending people to a wonderland that they can never come back from. Indeed, Wonderland was never so scary when these girls take you there. And let's not kid ourselves, Maliss is a force to be reckoned with. They spam, they ham, and they do everything else in between. What is there to say about Maliss is just, it's a fever dream, and the time you wake up, you've already lost. Yes, Maliss, it's, we finally got a card that players have been hating a lot, which is Shifter, and got it limited to 1 in TCG. About goddamn time! But outside of collateral damage that Maliss has been done, thank you Maliss for hitting that card, by the way, in the latest ban list. Maliss is a competent archetype. Lots of things going for Maliss. Consistency, versatility. I think, again, what Fiendsmith does as an archetype, as an engine, Maliss does this as a playstyle, as a lifestyle, my brother, right? Maliss is not just versatile, it's a lifestyle. when you play Maliss, you don't just play Maliss, you live the Maliss. You go into the Wonderland, you experience all that there is to experience as a Maliss player, and you give the gifts just keep on giving. Whether you want to in case tell your opponent a story about Alice, whether you want to tell them about, other things in this wonderland and these nursery rhymes that exist. There's lots to be said here. But I know what you're waiting for. Let's go to the first slot, the number 1 slot. What is the best archetype of 2025? Let's go.
Chapter 10.
Yes, and at number 1 is Ryzeal. No debating, Ryzeal is the best archetype of 2025. So what is it about Ryzeal that's just so good? Well, Ryzeal is an experiment. An experiment that, what if we took Zodiac and improved it and also gave Zodiac an Omni-Negate? Zodiac was an archetype that came out in 2017. Again, very ahead of its time, as you could do 1-card XYZs. Zodiac dominated, brought XYZs back on the map at the time because it was just so disruptive. The fact that you could 1-card XYZ summon, not only was it ahead of its time, but ahead of the curve. So when we bring back this idea of Zodiac again, right, and improve upon this idea, kind of like a Zodiac Part 2 with Ryzeal, well, there's not much to say here that it just dominates. Zodiac was and still is a great archetype. Part of the reason why Zodiac doesn't dominate now, as it couldn't keep up with the times. But Ryzeal does keep up with the times. With again, a field spell, Monster Negate. You have a disruption, which is Detonator. Detonating your opponent to oblivion. The way Ryzeal plays is like a well-oiled machine. If Maliss takes you to a wonderland, Ryzeal's take your opponents to hell. When you face Ryzeal, you are facing a well-oiled machine. You're facing something that you can't barely defeat. And the thing about Ryzeal is it creeps up on you on first. You look at Ryzeal and you'll be like, it's fine. This card just searches. It's not a big deal. It just makes a rank 4. It's not a big deal. There's a lot of not a big deal with everything that Ryzeal does. The plays seem harmless. Harmless fun. Harmless banter. Before you know it, you have a detonator staring in your face, a field spell that says you can't interact with the deck, and all of a sudden, you're about to get detonated and you don't even know what the hell is going on. Indeed, that is the case. But when you improve upon this formula and add Mitsurugi to Ryzeal, all of a sudden you have a cocktail mix of the strongest deck of 2025. And Ryzeal's just takes that slot. There's so much about Ryzeal that's great, and that is part of the problem. Going second, they have in-deck tool. They have an in-deck tool to break a board going second. Ryzeal is the only deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! History that has an in-archetype board breaker. Never has Konami created an archetype with that sort of function. The fact that you can break a board as part of your combo and not use external cards to do so is insane. Let's just put it out there, right? Any other archetype, including Maliss, right, has to use external cards to break a board. The fact that you don't need to do so in Ryzeal is insane. I need you to grasp with this concept. Breaking a board without using external support is something that is extremely unheard of, and is just like, wow, this is not just power creep, this is technology from the 10th dimension here. This is absolutely insane. This is power creep to a whole new level here. And this is why Ryzeal is the best archetype of 2025. And I think that's all I've got to say here. So let's head on to the conclusion.
Final chapter.
Okay, so here I am at the conclusion. And all I want to say is that Ryzeal is the best archetype of 2025. And indeed, this is an archetype that is taking names and just doing a lot of damage. And I think I've talked about all the things about all these top 10 archetypes, with Ryzeal being in first place, why they deserve to be at their slots. Tune in next time as I talk about more things on this channel. Hope to see you soon.
We come to the end of this video. So, as I like to say, you are one step closer to becoming a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master. My fate, right, is in your hands.